Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome once again all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa newsletter interview. So this month we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Balaram Shakti Prabhuji for the Bhakti Sangha Japa newsletter interview. So before moving on to the interview, I would like to give a brief introduction about Prabhuji. His Grace Balaram Shakti Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj and is a brahmachari devotee with the ISKCON Chaupati Yatra. A metallurgical engineering graduate, Prabhuji joined Pennsylvania State University and graduated with a PhD in material science in 2007. While at Pennsylvania State University, he took to Krishna Consciousness, where he was mentored by His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhuji. After he moved back to India, he chose to become a full-time monk at Radha Gopinath Mandir. In May 2010, after his brahmachari training, he moved to Govardhan Eco Village and served full-time till December 2021. He is currently in Chennai assisting his aged parents. He is an extremely erudite scholar of the Vaishnava scriptures and travels far and wide giving spiritual discourses. And Prabhuji has given has given classes on Bhakti Sangha on various topics also. So I feel very fortunate, and we all are also very fortunate to have His Grace Balaram Shakti Prabhuji today with us for the Bhakti Sangha Japa interview. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I welcome you to the call. Please accept my humble obeisances. Standard pronouns Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila. Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, we can move on to the interview, Prabhuji, with your permission.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, we just want to know how were you introduced in Krishna consciousness, and how was your journey in this path of Krishna consciousness, and what do you describe about before Krishna consciousness and after coming into it? How do you feel?
Well, I mean, there are multiple questions you have asked. How did I come to Krishna consciousness was one, and what is the difference between before and now? Which should I answer first?
How do you feel? Anything, Prabhuji. Whichever is comfortable.
I mean, things have definitely changed a lot since I have come to Krishna consciousness. Of course, even though the conditionings are there, but definitely compared to where I was before coming to Krishna consciousness, definitely, as the scriptures indicate, the subduing of the lower modes, tadarajas tamo bhava kamalo bhadayatse. Definitely, in one sense, that has started coming down, and the chanting of the holy names and the association of the Vaishnavas, the Vaishnava Granthas have certainly had a sobering effect, in terms of becoming little more, thoughtful, definitely a little bit more sensitive in dealings. I mean, I'm still little insensitive, but compared to where I was, what I was before, things have definitely changed a lot, I feel, and that's what those who have observed me from close quarters since my young age, definitely they have shared that. In that sense, I would say.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So how you came into Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji?
I got introduced to Krishna consciousness when I was in my college in India, Regional Engineering College, Trichy. So there I got introduced to a home program, which was conducted close to our college. But I didn't take it very seriously. I never really started practicing, even though it had a very deep impact in my heart, which I realized much later, because, I had been staying away from home since my school days. I went to a boarding school and then I went to a boarding college. So I had been staying away from home for quite a long time. And So meeting with those devotees and in that home program, um, I really felt very wonderful. It was like they gave me that parent touch, and some nice prasadam and all that. But uh, somehow I was quite ambitious, and my life took a different turn. I really did not get into actually practicing Krishna consciousness, even though I got some very good experience there. This was in probably year 2000. But then I was preparing for my uh, postgraduate studies in the United States. So I was busy with that. And then in 2002, I went to the United States. And in 2005, I came in touch with devotees again there. We had Penn State Vedic Society, which was being mentored by His Holiness Rompad Swami Maharaj. So through his association and through the association of the devotees who were staying there, I slowly got into the practice of Krishna consciousness, and then it continued from then on.
Very well. Nice journey, Prabhuji. So it's nice to know how you got connected into it. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing that. So my next question will be like, how do you keep yourself to do your sadhana consistently? And you have so many commitments. We know that you are busy with the whole day giving classes and various services you do. So how do you prioritize your services? And at the same time, how do you balance your sadhanas also?
Well, my services don't start until 7:15 a.m. in the morning when I have my first class, which is morning Bhagavatam class. So, mm, so therefore, I have to essentially get up at 4 a.m. in the morning at least, and get ready and start my chanting. So for me, because I have stayed all the while in the association of devotees in the ashram, for me, association of devotees is very important for my chanting. So I started as soon as I got to Chennai. One of the first things I did was to start a Zoom call where I started enlisting interested devotees who would come and give me association virtually, so that so we have just like your Bhakti Sangha Japa group. So every day morning from 5 to 7, actually devotees join before that also. From 4:30 onwards, devotees start, and till 11 o'clock, I have my Japa, where and then in between classes also, and in the evenings, whenever I have between classes, I have some extra time, I do chant some extra rounds. So that way, fixed commitment of proper rounds is very important to stay focused throughout the day. Otherwise, um, you know you get really carried away, and we start minimizing the importance of personal sadhana. Um, so, so that way, this is a very strong commitment. We do have regular daily japa quotes that we share from um, the acharyas and the Vartamana acharyas like Burijan Prabhu, Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. In order to inspire devotees, everyday devotees who join, they get to read those quotes, meditate on those quotes, and it helps them um, maintain a proper mood while chanting. So definitely during the day, chanting is one thing which I, uh, you know, early in the morning, I try to prioritize as much as possible. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So first is sadhana, then comes services. That's what you're saying, right, Prabhuji? So first, whatever it is, first we have to finish our sadhana, then we have to move on to our services.
Yeah, that, because otherwise, if I don't have that commitment, then eventually I will finding sadhana to be a burden actually. So if I don't fix this properly and then I keep on increasing my services, then I won't get the proper consciousness and strength to perform my services, especially considering the nature of services that I do from here, which is mostly speaking and sharing Krishna consciousness. If my consciousness is not good due to proper chanting, then I'll not be able to render proper service. It will not be a proper service to the devotees also. So therefore, it has to be prioritized, and for me, it has to be in the association of devotees also. So therefore, but if it would have been, if Bhakti Sangha Japa group would have been from India, and if they had Indian time, I would have definitely joined Bhakti Sangha Japa group for my Japa. But somehow, it's US timing. So
very soon, I think we can open a branch over there also. Krishna. So yeah, so thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing that. And next question is, who is your inspiration in this process of bhakti, Prabhuji?
Well, I would say many.
Or whom you inspire?
Well, in one sense, there have been, there are different levels of inspirations and inspiration for different purposes also. So when it comes to sadhana, I have personally been very inspired by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, the way, by his personal example that I have observed. He has been a great inspiration. The way he emphasizes hearing and chanting. So for me, His Holiness Radhanath Swami has been a great inspiration for sadhana, sadachar, and right mood. In terms of shastric clarity, I look up to His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj and his writings. They have been a great inspiration for me. And whenever I have any doubts or any, I seek some clarifications, I write to him and he immediately responds. That way, he is a big inspiration for me. And I have many devotees who inspire me amongst my peers and immediate seniors also, whom I look up to for various purposes. When I have when my mind is jumbled and I'm struggling with some clarity, there are a few friends whom I always look up to. I call them and I have long discussions with them, because otherwise very senior devotees are not always accessible also. And so in terms of sadhana and mood and sadachar, and in terms of my shastric studies, there are a group of devotees with whom they are more or less like peers. So whenever we seek some shastric clarity, we come together and discuss, and we share our reflections. So that also very deeply nourishes me. Yeah.
Thank you.
But of course, I could share the names of us also, but they may not be that well known. And in terms of I one thing I really like is to read the life histories of even contemporary Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So that way, if you see, I am very deeply inspired by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, Her Grace Yamuna Mataji, Her Grace Vladini Mataji. So their life histories have very tremendously inspired me in my life, and I keep reading their biographies again and again to stay inspired. So even though I have not had their personal association, but still the way they have led their lives amongst contemporary Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, I derive great inspiration from their lives.
Very well. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, so the next question is like, how do you read the scriptures, Prabhuji? Like whenever you present the class, it's like you are going into deep, and each and every Sanskrit word you are giving the meaning very clearly, and many of us are getting inspired of your classes. So I just want to know, we are curious to know, like how you read the scriptures and how you break the words and how you present it to us. So scholarly.
Well, this actually is a result of years of um, effort in the Association of Devotees from Govardhan Eco Village since 2010, since year 2010, on a daily basis. I mean, without ever knowing that for how long it would continue or whether it continue, somehow a group of 3-4 of us would come together and to discuss the scriptures. And because probably I had little more time and interest, I took the opportunity to read ahead and present. So because if you have to read yourself, then the commitment level is generally very low. But if you will have to explain it to people, explain it to others in a reasonably proper way, then you have to understand it little more deeply. So this kind of commitment actually created a great opportunity for me to understand it more deeply. Especially, when we reached the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it became very difficult unless it was, I understood the words and the individual words properly, because then, it was not possible for me to probably understand what the verse is trying to communicate. So that's when I started referring to Sarartha Darshini, His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. So from there I started doing this Anvaya of splitting the translation into individual words so that I can understand properly and explain it properly. So slowly, then I thought that I figured out that this is the way I can understand it little bit more deeply. And then gradually I liked this so much that it continued with the other cantos, and subsequently with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and the other books, all the others that we studied. I thought, okay, this is the way of doing it, even though it is time consuming, but it's worth putting in the effort. And somehow those devotees who came together, and my own kind of outlook was such that it's okay if it is slow. We don't have to too many things. Whatever little we cover, let us cover those subject matters by properly understanding. And if we don't understand, we will not move forward. So we all were on the same page. So that really helped. That we will not move forward if we don't understand. So that way, it allowed us the opportunity to deeply discuss that subject matter from various viewpoints, and that really helped us understand better, actually.
That's really very wonderful, Prabhuji. In my case, I'll just make a read and just I'll move. So this is really wonderful, Prabhuji. This is what I have to learn.
Another thing is that, the ashram also to some extent matters, because I won't say the ashram, but somehow by Krishna's arrangement, I did get free time. So, which not everyone may necessarily get. I did get free time, in our and in our ashram also, we had really wonderful senior devotees, whom over a period of time, when they saw my interest, uh, they very gracefully uh, uh, adjust my services in such a way that I did get time for my Shastric studies. Because when they also saw that I was not just reading myself, but I was facilitating many others to read their Shastras and attend. So when the senior devotees, very, very mature, wonderful senior devotees, when they saw this, very gracefully they they sort of adjusted my other services and did not never push so hard for me to accept more and more other commitments. So that way, as brahmacharis, you do family commitments anyway, but you do have institutional commitments. But if you have very understanding senior devotees who are willing to adjust those services so that you could contribute in a way where you can effectively contribute, that really helps. And so that way I'm very grateful, because not even uh, gets this uh, gets this kind of favorable facilitation, but I have been very fortunate for receiving that.
So Krishna's arrangements, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, definitely.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, so next question is like, what you would like to say for neophyte devotees who have come into Krishna consciousness? How can they practice, and what is your advice to the youth devotees also, especially? So, can you just advise like how they can follow their sadhana? Because we find many youth devotees, they are struggling in schools, colleges, and for exams, and then doing their sadhanas, right? So how can they overcome that? And also for neophyte devotees, how can they do their sadhanas? Because at one particular point of time, initially they are very enthusiastically doing the sadhana, but after a period of time being in grihastha life, they just postpone their work, right? So how can they be in track?
Well, ultimately, I will not give a very specific answer for either youth or grihasthas. Either way, it is always important uh, to have really nourishing Vaishnava Sangha. So if we have the association of very inspiring, nourishing devotees who are very, as Srila Rupa Goswami says, Sajatiya Ashe Snigde Sadhu Sangha Svatovare, like-minded, passionate, and more advanced. Or even if they may not be more advanced, but the affection is so much that I am concerned about your progress and concerned about my progress. If I am feeling down, you please pull me up, and if you are feeling down, I will definitely pull you up. So we need to invest in these kind of friendships, where meaningful relationships. So when we have meaningful relationships of mature, well-intentioned devotees, then rest is all a detail. Rest will all follow actually. So therefore, the key to any kind of problem solving in Krishna consciousness is actually loving relationships with loving, mature meaningful relationships. Meaningful relationships means we have meaning conversations in a loving way, meaningful conversations. And there is and these things will not automatically happen. One has to endeavor to invest in that direction. So if we invest in developing these relationships, So dadati pratigrinnati guhyamakyati pritchati bhungte bojayate cheva shadvidam priti lakshmi. Through the 6 exchanges, if we endeavor to develop these kind of nourishing relationships, our life is taken care. Rest all the other details will follow. So where we naturally feel, and these relationships should be strictly we should consciously be very non-judgmental in these kind of relationships. Yes, anyone can slip, anyone can fall, anyone can get up and move forward. That should be our approach when we are approaching others. And if we are fortunate enough to get those kind of mentors and friends who are okay, if we fall, if we slip, without judging, they are willing to give their hands, pick us up, and encourage us to move forward. I think that is the key. Rest are all details, whether we are struggling in our japa, whether we are struggling with certain conditionings, whether we are struggling with balancing our reading and services, whatever it may be. But if we have like-minded, affectionate, um, advanced, mature devotees association, everything will be taken care. That's my understanding.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, you were mentioning like a meaningful relationship, right? So, what do you mean by that, Prabhuji? Is it like the talks should be only about the Krishna conscious related talks, not the mundane topics like that you were meaning? And
no, sometimes, so meaningful means, that would be a very oversimplified understanding of that thing. Yes, so on one level, meaningful means you come together to talk only Krishna consciousness. But what I mean by meaningful means to understand, to be willing to understand what is that person struggling with right now. What is his need? Sometimes it may not be the need to discuss even direct Krishna consciousness. Sometimes the need may be just some, some emotional comforting, which may just means come, let's go for a walk. It's not even, we are not going to even directly discuss about Krishna consciousness. So meaningful means not that I have a, agenda. Okay, today I will discuss this. No, we can have such agendas also. But sometimes when you see that the person is coming with something else, and so we cannot discuss this, it's fine. So he's struggling with some emotional issues, some relationship issues. So or he's burnt out with his very strong professional commitments. So slowly then do the needful, so that way it is meaningful, where I'm genuinely concerned that what's the need in this relationship right now. So, and I'm willing to fill in that gap. So this person needs me for this, so I will fill in that gap. And all with the mood of eventually we wish to hand in hand move towards the lotus feet of Krishna. That may sometimes need coming together and discussing Krishna Katha. Sometimes it may mean coming together, sitting together and chanting the holy names. Sometimes it may mean let's just go for a relaxing walk together, or let's just sit and share our heart. Whatever is needed. So that in my understanding is meaningful.
Wow, it's really very great, Prabhuji. Nice. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, so next one is like, what do you feel that that very important quality that a devotee has to generate in himself or herself? The most important quality. We know there are 25 qualities of a devotee, but still, what is the important thing that he has to do?
Well, there are situations, at different situations I have appreciated different qualities. I used to wonder whenever I used to hear His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj talk about humility all the time. Many times I used to wonder why so much same thing, but sometimes, when you are put into situations where, uh, you know, you are really
Yeah.
pushed to the corner and you have every reason to, just fight back and, become aggressive. But somehow, somewhere, Krishna gives you the remembrance. Krishna reminds you of Maharaj always talking about humility, and you sort of sometimes I am not always able to do it, but sometimes I respond uh, not with humility, because humility as a quality is a big thing, but at least I respond in a with humility in action, not humility in intention though, but at least in a humble way, in a humble act. And many times I have, it has really saved my situation tremendously. Otherwise I would have unlimitedly complicated the situation and suffered a lot. So sometimes I feel like that, in those times I really appreciate the quality of humility, and I really appreciate why Maharaj gives so much emphasis on humility like that. But there are many other qualities which I value a lot. One thing I would say, empathy is something which I value a lot. Uh, if we have to maintain good relationships, non-judgmentalism and empathy, trying genuinely to understand what the person is uh, going through, rather than half hearing and already having 10 solutions in hand. I have so many things that I want to suggest you, but hearing with empathy and genuinely trying to understand the other person without being judgmental. uh, I think that is something which is very important in my understanding. I value it a lot. Rather than telling that that is the most important quality, I would say that I value quality a lot.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. So tolerance and humility is very much what I feel is tolerance is very much needed. So many a times there is provoking situation, but still we have to tolerate. Yeah. So my next question, you have time, Prabhuji? Okay. So my next question will be like, we have in ISKCON, what is your favorite, or what is a project which you want to be introduced in ISKCON? Your
What is
long
the
term. Yeah. What is one thing that you want to be in generated in ISKCON? You can say your long term vision. Okay. In ISKCON, we should have even this also. Or your vision in ISKCON generally, Prabhuji?
I am not a big visionary, Matan. I am so I don't know. I have not
We
thought
have
about it.
various
Maybe
projects. Okay. We have so many projects in ISKCON, right, Prabhuji? It's going on. So if you want to pick up any one of the project in which you want to be there, you want to involve in the project.
I am quite happy the way I am engaged, Matan.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
learning Shastras and sharing it with devotees and having fruitful, meaningful discussions where we try to churn the Shastras and understand the deeper meanings, uh, edifying, meaningful, enriching discussions. Um, so I would say honestly, if I have to answer your question, I am quite happy the way I'm engaged, and if Krishna is merciful to allow me to engage in this way, I'll be quite happy and satisfied.
So, so Prabhuji, so my next question will be like, we have in congregations, we have so many devotees coming around and they're talking, right? So, but what happens is sometimes there is also some conflicts between the devotees, like some are jealous, envious, so many things are going on, right? So how this can be avoided in your vision?
Well, one thing is we have to understand that this is natural. Since time immemorial, we have stayed in this material world, and we have accumulated these uh, rajoguni, tamoguni impressions. So they will not go very easily. Okay. So if we see it in others, if we just think that, yeah, this is natural, as Srila Rupa Goswami says, Drishtair Swabhava Janitair Vapushascha Doshair Na Prakritatvam Iha Bhakta Janasya Pashet. So he says that it is natural, don't take the conditionings of a sadhaka bhakta very seriously, because Krishna has said, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. By his practice of bhakti, very soon he will be purified. So if they are struggling with envy, I am struggling with lethargy. If they are struggling with pride, then I am struggling with something else, anger maybe. So, so at least because many times when an unfavorable quality is met with judgmentalism, on the other side, then it aggravates that quality, or it leads to other further unfavorable qualities, like if someone is struggling with, let's say, lust or anger, and if lust or anger is, or envy is met with judgmentalism on the other side, then what happens? Because then it will lead to other qualities like hypocrisy, duplicity, because you are judging, I want to hide. But if these qualities are met with, yeah, who is, you're a devotee and you're practicing bhakti, it is just a matter of time before which you'll be purified of it. Who is not kind? Let's come together and help each other. If it is met with that kind of an attitude, then at least this lust, anger, etc., will not degenerate into duplicity, uh, duplicity and hypocrisy and other such problems. So I would say yes, if someone is envious, who is not? Because wherever there is the influence of mode of passion, envy, pride, etc., will be there. So, but at least we all are trying to practice bhakti, which is capable of destroying it. But one thing that we can do is definitely not fuel that fire. So, but we see, one thing is we approach this with empathy, that yes, just like I am struggling with my conditionings, they are also struggling. But let me not fuel that conditioning by joining the party. And okay, you have something to say about this. Let me tell you what I have to say about this person. Now you see. So like that, then that way, if we keep fueling that fire, yeah, fueling that fire, then it will be a problem. But otherwise, if they are doing it, then because they are practicing bhakti, they will overcome that condition. I have full trust in that, because this is Krishna's guarantee. Who am I to doubt Krishna's guarantee? So we let it go. We try to change the topic in a non-judgmental way, like that. Because there are, you can say, stop talking nonsense. This kind of envious talk, jealous talk is very bad. So they may immediately stop, but then they may see that you are very judgmental. So then definitely it will lead to a kind of duplicitous behavior, hypocritical behavior, because in front of you they will do something, and but then when you are not there, they will do something else. So I would say this has to be approached in a very non-judgmental way, but at the same time not fueling that fire more and more, like that. That is my end.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. That will be really helpful. So, Prabhuji, how you were last only 2 questions, Prabhuji. You should go ahead. You have time now, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
So, how you were introduced into Bhakti Sangha, Prabhuji? Who brought you into Bhakti Sangha? Yeah.
Oh, Bhakti Sangha. It was, I think, Padmasati Mataji and Naina Biram Prabhu are very good friends. So, Naina Biram Prabhu had been hearing my sessions, and mm, so he told, why don't you actually speak in Bhakti Sangha? So I said, I don't know what is Bhakti Sangha. So they told, okay. And then I think Padmasaki Mataji probably spoke with Sham Gauri Mataji, and then got, I was scheduled like that.
So from since when, Prabhuji, it is your connection with Bhakti Sangha?
It's been close to maybe 2 years, maybe, or maybe little less than that. Maybe 1 year and 7 months, like that, something like that.
I don't think so. 1 year. More than that, maybe, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that's what, 1 year and 8 months, 9 months, like that, maybe. Less than 2 years, but little, definitely more than 1.5 years. I don't exactly recollect the dates.
Okay. So you have been in connection with Bhakti Sangha for a long time. So what do you feel about Bhakti Sangha? And if you want to improvise anything in Bhakti Sangha, what you would advise to improvise?
Well, what I think of Bhakti Sangha, I think it's one of the most sincere, diligent group of devotees who have come together and doing something really unimaginable. I mean, what is happening in this online forum is, I would say, much better than what is happening in many of the temples, actually. The kind of sincerity with which devotees come to chant the holy names, on Ekadashis chant extra rounds, you know, daily Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Bhagavat, and then there are words of the Acharyas, then there are kids programs, kids age group wise kids programs, and all free. And but the most important thing which I found really inspiring in Bhakti Sangha is the kind of I mean, of course, I'm not. I'm telling it from being an outsider, actually, but from whatever little I have seen, the kind of appreciation that the members of Bhakti Sangha, at least the core members of Bhakti Sangha, have each other. This will go on for decades, actually, centuries, actually. So if this continues, if this kind of appreciation is there, I mean, I think this will continue for centuries, for sure. And this will only become better and better. So if this kind of selfless, mutually encouraging and loving relationships is there between the core group members, yeah, I think this is just a definite recipe for grand spiritual success. So do you have any suggestions for improvement? Actually, I have been trying to get inspired through Bhakti Sangha. I certainly don't have uh, any suggestions for improvement. I'm telling it's honestly very, very inspiring, and I just wish and pray that this continues and benefits more and more and more people. And I hope and pray that devotees take inspiration from this all over the world in different time zones, and try to do something like this. This is a great boon for people who get the opportunity to participate in this, I think.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah, so that is really true that all the core members are really very much connected here on Bhakti Sangha, and everyone is appreciating each other. and encouragement is there actually. So that's why we are able to run on the forum. So thank you so much also to you, Prabhuji, for encouraging us more and more. Hare Krishna. So thank you for giving your valuable time and association today, for giving your interview for Bhakti Sangha newsletter, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for engaging me and encouraging me, Mataji. Actually, this forum is very, very inspirational for me. And I very much look up to, even though I may not be physically participating in many of these sessions, but just to see that with such sincerity, diligence, and regularity, these things are going on in itself is greatly inspiring for me. And I wish to express my deepest gratitude for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this very wonderful group.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Mataji,
Thank
you can stop.
Great.